Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dalia Designs. Please, if you're new to my channel, do well to subscribe and share. Thank you. And in my last video, I said I'll be teaching you guys how to make a baby dress from cutting to the finish. That's from start to finish. And the things you need to make this dress, you need about if the baby is too small, 1 yard of fabric would be enough. But I want this dress to be very full, so I'll be using 2 yards. This is Ankara or Nigerian wax, whichever you wish to call it. So I'm using 2 yards of this Ankara, and I have this is a hairstay, so you can use a paper stay, so whichever you wish to use. This is for the lining. I will iron it to the lining before I will turn it to the fabric, the main fabric. And this is a black lining. This is a net or a tulle fabric you use to style the dress, and this is the hard net that's for underneath the gown or the dress. So this necessarily the fabric needed for this dress that we'll be making. Now let's start by cutting out the base or the upper part of the dress. Okay. And the measurements we are using here, the baby's shoulder is 9.5. So this will be folding it in two. I always like folding my fabric the right side inward so it will not get dirty after all the placements and cutting and all that. Now let's draw out our starting line. So we'll be using this as a guide for the starting line. Now from the shoulder to the waist or the half length, we have 8.5. Now this is it. Now since I'm not using a pattern paper, I'm cutting directly on the fabric, so I'll be adding my stitching allowance of 1/2 inch. So since we have 8.5 inches as half length, we are going to make it 9 inches. So by the time we use 1/2 inch for stitching, then it remains that 8.5. Now the baby's shoulder is 9.5. Now to get the neck, you have that 9.5 divided by 2. 9.5 divided by 2. Use your tape for the division to make it easier for you. So whatever you get, place it from this folded edge. That's about 4.75. You mark. Then from that 4.75, you come down by 1/2 inch for the shoulder slope. Now looking at this fabric I folded is way too big, so you reduce it a bit. Yeah. So let's start by taking the shoulder measurement again. Now from this starting line, we'll take our shoulder, half of our shoulder measurement, that's 4.75. You mark it 4.75. Then from this 4.75, come down by 1/2 inch. That's for the shoulder slope. Then you join it. Now from this 1/2 inch, divide the shoulder measurements by 2. That also gives you the baby's armhole. So we're also taking this down from this half of an inch, so you measure your 4.75. That gives you the baby's armhole. So you just give it a nice curve. You can use your free hand or use your curve. So that's it. Then from the baby's shoulder to the half length, we have 9 inches. That's adding the half-inch stitching allowance. You have 9 inches. I hope you can see this clearly. Let me shift it a bit. So you have 9 inches. So from this shoulder, we'll measure 9 inches. So this is basically the upper part of the dress. Now let's take the neck width and neck depth. I usually like using 1.5 for the neck width. That gives the baby proper fitting. It's not too wide on the baby's neck since it's not an off shoulder, so it's just sitting on the neck. So we use 1.5. Then for the neck depth, we'll use 2.5 or 2 inches. Let's use 2 inches. Just use your hand and curve it out. You can get a square neckline, a round neckline, a V neckline, whichever you please to use. It's all up to you. Now I want to use my curve and do something nice here. So this is basically it. And the waist of the baby is 19 divided by 4. We have, let's divide it with the tape. 19 divided by 4. That's a 4.75. Now 4.75, you're not going to cut it exactly at this 4.75. I usually add 2.5 inches allowance for every baby dress I make, and I don't stitch it at exactly the waist measurement. I add about 1 inch allowance to make it free on the baby dress, so that the baby will not just outgrow the dress in a short time. So I'll be adding 2.5 inches to this measurement. So in total we are using 7.5 for this. Since the chest and the waist is 19, so I repeated the same measurement here on the chest. So we have the baby basic block for their dress. I hope this is understandable. Now we are going to cut it out. Then we use it and draft out the back pattern or the back piece for the baby dress. Now you can use your pin to hold the fabric while cutting so it doesn't move. Now this is basically a very simple pattern, and you necessarily don't need to pin it. I'm just using the pin to show you that you can hold it down if you think the fabric might move while you're trying to cut it out. This is a very beginner friendly class. So this is it. This is the front piece of the baby dress. Now let's use this to draft out the back piece of the baby dress. Now we're actually not going to waste much time. Just have to place this on another fabric that is on fold. The fabric you're using, not totally another thing, but the same fabric but on another piece. Make sure it's on fold with about one and a half allowance. Make sure it's 1.5. That's more than 1.5 there. I usually use 1.5. 1 inch for zipper allowance, then 1/2 inch for turning. That is when you turn with the lining. So use your pin, hold it in place so it doesn't move. Now just trace it out. You don't necessarily need much thing to do here. It's actually the same thing that you will be doing. Now the back neckline is totally up to you what you wish to do with it. As you can see, I've not done anything to the back neckline, the neck depth actually. Now I want to make it a V. It's going to be a deep V. So from this shoulder, or from this point, I'll be coming down by, let's use 4.5. It's going to be a very deep V. Let's come down by 4.5. Then use your ruler from the shoulder line or from the neck area, then just join it with a straight line. That gives you your V shape. Then just trace it out. So this is basically it. There's no big deal here. Cutting a baby dress is very simple. Sewing it is simple as well. Just that it takes time in fixing almost all the nets, the hard nets and all that. When you draw, when you want to make a gather, it takes some time. You want to pleat, so it depends on what you want to do with it. Now I've gone ahead to open up the back. This is where the zip is going to be placed. That's after turning the lining with 1/2 inch. The remaining 1 inch will be for zipper allowance. I hope you are understanding what I am doing. So from here, since we already have the upper parts, now let's go over to the down part of the baby dress. Now I'll be cutting out a flake. I'm cutting out a flake and I'll be folding this fabric into 4. Now see what I am doing. Folded in 2. Now another fold. It is actually folded in 4, and here we have 15.25, so we are getting 15.25 all around. Now 15.25 plus 9.5 or 9.5. That's about 24.5, right? Yeah, 15.25. Is that it? Yes, 15.25 plus, okay, that's 25.75. So 25.75, we are using 26 for the full length, so we'll be needing extra more inches to make sure that we get this 26 inches. So since we are still going to add the net is going to be underneath the fabric, so this 15.25 is actually okay because we're still going to open up the center part, so we'll be able to get the waist line that we need. So we are going to take the 15.25 straight, we take it round, make sure you are doing exactly what I am doing if you want to achieve exactly what you are seeing here. Now you're going to trace out this. Now baby's waist is 19, and 19, this is folded in 4. 19 divided by 4 is 19 divided by 4, you have about 4.75. So we get 4.75 here.